Good afternoon, library friends. It's Rhonda here one more time with your Salem, Ohio Public Library's tech video. So we have been working on a series of Google Docs. I have released 3 other videos that could give you an excellent starting point for your Google Docs path. Now, for today's video, I kind of want to do a wrap up here. I believe that we covered most of the very basics. I am going to go ahead and do just a little more fine tuning and provide you with a little bit more detail. But if you're not quite at this last stage, that's okay. Just feel free to come back to this video at another time. Go ahead and get your toes in the water a little bit with some of the other videos and get in there and kind of mess around and see what you can do with your Google Docs platform. So just to do a very fast recap, we are going to open up Google. We're going to go to our Google Docs bookmark, or we're going to go over here to the Google Apps and look for Google Docs, or we could type in the Google Docs website up here. Okay. We're going to hit blank document. We're going to title it. And then you're going to go ahead and start writing in here. So I'm just putting in some placeholder text here. All right, and then of course over here we have our share button. If we're looking to collaborate with others, we would just add their email address once we click on this, and that would give them access to your document. Now, we know that we can go ahead and type everything out, close out of this, and find this text again simply by going to our Google Docs platform again and finding the last thing that we typed. But I want to show you a little bit more about these tabs up here. All right. So if you click on File, you're going to get a slew of options. And I'm just going to run through these very quickly. So make sure that you take your time and pause the video if needed. Now, the first one is new. This is if you want to create a new document or if you want to create a new document from a template. This here is to just open a pre-existing document and put it into Google Docs. If you would like to make a copy, that's here. This is also just another avenue for our share button. This is if we want to email the file. A lot of times it'll say email draft. That's just simply because if you're inside of the document typing, it still thinks that you're working on it. And even if you just click inside it once, it's still going to save that version of it. So email draft, email this file, pretty much the same thing as long as you're completely finished with all your typing. I do want to take a second and explore this download feature. Now, I know that it's not always the easiest to understand why you would want to download a word processing document. So I'm going to explain that a little bit here. So in Microsoft Word, you have a file format called .docx. That is the Word format. When you have a PDF, it's .pdf. So a lot of times, depending on where you're choosing to send this, you might want to think about downloading it in a more versatile format. And what I mean by that is that not everybody that you might send this to will have all of the same programs you have on your computer. So say, for instance, you send this file as a Google Doc, okay? And the next person that you have that's opening this, maybe they prefer to use Microsoft Word. Well, if you have a very detail-oriented document, so maybe you created a pamphlet that has pictures and boxes and a very customized style of text, when that other person opens it in Microsoft Word, it doesn't quite equate to the same format. And although they will be able to open it and view it, some of the pictures and the style of it, that might come out looking a little bit rugged. And so in some cases, the best thing to do is to actually save it as a PDF. That way it is an uneditable document, and it more so looks like a picture of what you just did. And when you send it over to the next person, they will see it exactly as you created it. So that's really the main reason why a lot of people will download documents. Sometimes if there's a lot of data involved, you can upload that document into maybe Google Spreadsheets or whatnot. And those are all just different file extensions. And that is what we have here. Of course, this is pretty self-explanatory. This is if you want to move it to a different place in Google Drive. Now, I have done videos on Google Drive before, but we haven't quite talked about that in this series. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. And this is the same thing there. This is if you want to move to trash. Now, this is really neat, okay? This is something that I wanted to share with you all because it has come in handy many times for those of us who've used it. So if I click on version history, it's going to say that I can name my current version, which means it's at where it's at right now, or I could click see version history. Now, when I open this, I don't have much here because I didn't type a lot, but I could technically go to a previous state of this document. So let's say that you were typing out a book and you were kind of just free-forming it, right? You're just typing and you're excited, you're getting into it and you're writing paragraph after paragraph. And all of a sudden you decide that you don't like half of that one paragraph that's a couple pages above, sort of threw you off, took you on a different trail. Then you can actually go in here and choose to go back to a previous version. So let me give you a little bit more of an example here. Okay, so I'm going to type some other things out. Give me a second to type some info here. Okay, so hopefully that's enough to kind of give us at least a glimpse. So I'm going to go back into File, I'm going to go into Version History, and I'm going to see Version History. Now, over here to the right, I have this little arrow, right? It gives me the date and time of my version there, date and time. So this is my very first version with nothing on it. And this is my very last version with all of it on it. But I can click this little arrow and it's going to give me an in-between. So the more you write, the more versions you would have. And so if I clicked on this, it's going to take me back to that first version that I had after my initial blank slate. So it really has come in handy a lot of times. So I encourage you to check that feature out and play with it a little bit. And then if I wanted to, I can actually go ahead and hit the 3 dots here and I can say restore this version. I'm going to hit restore and it takes me back to that version. Back to the file here, make available offline. That's if you downloaded Google Docs to your computer, you can work on that online or offline. We just have details, language. This is a good one to know if you're planning on printing anything. This is where you can change your orientation, you can change your margins, your paper size, and kind of customize that. And then of course you have your print feature. Okay. So I'm not going to really do much with the help because we know that this is a good place that you can go if you have questions. I advise against anyone who is new to this to work with the extensions. It can kind of make things a little bit wonky and complicated, but if you're comfortable in Google Docs, feel free to, check out the extensions. They have some neat features that you can add into your Google Docs program. Now, tools. This is something that if you're writing a lot, you might want to explore this. It has spelling and grammar check, word count, review suggested edits, citation, line numbers, a lot of really neat things here as far as helping you format your paragraphs. And this is all pretty much text-based and making it look nice. So if you want to have your text be in the left or the center or the right, you can go ahead and adjust it there. And we have columns. bullet points, headers and footers, page numbers, and so on. Now, insert there's a lot here, so it would take me probably a long time to explain all of this, but the most used features are really just adding an image, which you can actually upload an image from your computer, or you can search the web. There's also a table here, so if I wanted to have, certain amounts of rows and columns, I can go over like as many as I want and down. And then I click that and it's going to add a table there for me. And then a lot of times people will create charts if they're making a report of some kind. View, not many people mess with view unless you're looking to change the way your ruler looks or your print layout. And then edit, we just have our basic cut, copy, and paste here. You can also find the undo and redo button. So I know that was kind of a lot to take in. That's why I definitely suggest just, taking a breather, pausing the video and going back and watching it in steps that would work best for you. But I wanted to make sure that I touched on that topic today because a lot of times people aren't sure what those little tabs are up at the top here. They are meant to help you make a more precise change to your document, and they are very helpful if you're planning on using Google Docs. All right, well, that's all for me today, and I will come back next week with hopefully teaching you a little bit about Google Drive and letting you know how all these Google apps sort of come together and how you can use them all in one platform called Google Drive. All right, everyone. Have a great day.